The scariest part about memory is not that you forget, it's that you can remember with full dramatic confidence something that never happened. Not blurry, not maybe. I mean crystal clear, hand on heart, argue with your cousin sure. Wait, what? Your brain is not a security camera. It's more like a screenwriter on no sleep. Rewriting scenes and acting like the new draft was always the plan. Psychologist Elizabeth Loftus built an entire career proving this deeply rude fact. Daniel Schacter said memory is constructive, which is a polite scientific way of saying your mind sometimes makes fan fiction about your own life. And here's the twisty part. Every time you remember, you may not just retrieve the story. You may edit it. Most people imagine memory like this. Event happens, brain records, later you press play. Night's idea. Cute idea. Completely unhinged idea. What actually happens is messier. When you recall something, your brain grabs bits and pieces. A face, a feeling, a sound, a guess, maybe your current mood barging in like an intern who should not have editing access. Then it stitches those pieces into a story that feels smooth enough to trust. Schachter's 1999 review made this brutally clear. Memory is built, not simply replayed. That matters because built things can be rebuilt. A question can nudge it. A headline can tint it. A family story told 10 times can become cement. Your memory is less archived footage, more late-night reconstruction with suspiciously confident subtitles. Your brain does this for a very annoying reason: efficiency. It was not designed to be a museum curator in white gloves preserving every sock, pebble, and Tuesday afternoon forever. It was designed to keep you alive. For your ancestors, that meant remember the dangerous river, the angry stranger, the berry that caused explosive regret. For you, it means spotting social threats, deadlines, and that one email written in all caps like it was forged in hell. Storing every detail perfectly would be expensive and mostly useless. So the brain keeps meaning, patterns, shortcuts, gist over precision, usefulness over perfect accuracy. That trade-off is usually smart, usually. But it also means your memories are optimized less for truth and more for helping future you make a fast enough guess and keep moving. Here's the trap. Vivid memories feel true. The scene is bright. The emotion is loud. The story comes out fast, like your brain rehearsed it in the shower. So you trust it. We all do. But confidence is not a lie detector. It's more like a very enthusiastic salesman. It can sell nonsense with the excellent posture. Researchers have found again and again that people can be deeply certain and still wrong. Your brain can yell, "I remember exactly," and still be off by a mile wearing expensive certainty cologne. This matters because we treat confidence like evidence, in arguments, in courtrooms, in family drama about who said what at Christmas in 2017. The feeling of certainty is real. The accuracy, that part is still applying for verification. Now the dangerous part. Memory doesn't only wobble when it first forms. It can also change later, every time you pull it out and look at it. This is where reconsolidation enters like a polite scientific assassin. Very simple version. When a memory is recalled, it can become temporarily flexible before being stored again. Flexible means editable. A question from a therapist, a leading interviewer, a friend saying, "Remember how terrified you were?" can slip new paint onto old walls. Kareem Nader's work helped popularize this idea in modern neuroscience, and it explains why retelling is not harmless photocopying. It's more like reopening a Word document and accidentally hitting save after changing 3 sentences. Do that enough times and congratulations, your personal history now has revisions, mood lighting, and a suspiciously improved plot. Elizabeth Loftus did not just stroll into psychology and whisper, "Hey, what if memory is weird?" She brought experiments. In one famous study with John Palmer in 1974, people watched a car crash and were later asked a question. Tiny change, big chaos. If the cars were said to have smashed into each other, people estimated higher speeds than when the verb was something softer like hit, crash. Different word, new memory vibes. Even wilder, the smashed group was more likely to later remember broken glass that wasn't there. A single verb nudged the memory like one finger tipping a domino. That's not forgetting. That's construction under social influence. Your brain heard a suggestion, shrugged, and quietly redecorated the accident scene like an overconfident interior designer with zero accountability. Then came one of the most legendary psychological pranks on certainty, the Lost in the Mall study. Loftus and Jacqueline Pickrell worked with participants whose relatives provided true childhood events. Then the researchers slipped in one fake event. Getting lost in a shopping mall as a child. Sounds harmless. Also sounds weirdly plausible, which is exactly the point. About a quarter of participants later came to remember the fake event, adding details, feelings, Even little scene decorations their brain politely invented for free. No hidden camera, no evil mind control laser, just suggestion plus imagination plus trust in the source. That combo is powerful. If your mind can generate a childhood memory from basically narrative IKEA furniture, what else in your autobiography might be assembled from pieces that looked right and therefore felt true? People love the phrase, "I remember exactly where I was." It sounds noble, historic, cinematic. Unfortunately, memory does not become accurate just because the event was huge. After the Challenger explosion in 1986, psychologist Ulrich Neisser and colleagues studied people's memories of how they heard the news. At first, participants wrote down their accounts. Years later, many told different versions with high confidence, even when the original record said otherwise. Same thing showed up after 9/11 in research by Tallarico and Rubin. People stayed very confident in those memories, but the details still shifted over time. So-called flashbulb memories feel like they were carved into stone by emotion. Really, they're more like written in wet cement while the weather keeps changing. Bright memory is not the same as stable memory. Your goosebumps are not a notary public. Picture this like a movie. Fluorescent courtroom, wooden bench. A witness sits upright, palms tight, voice steady. They point and say, "That's the man." The jury watches. The confidence lands like a hammer. Case closed, right? Yeah, not so fast. Memory in eyewitness settings is vulnerable to stress, poor lighting, cross-race bias, suggestion, and lineup procedures that accidentally steer people. The Innocence Project has shown, over and over, that eyewitness misidentification played a major role in many wrongful convictions later overturned by DNA. Real lives, real prison years. Gary Wells spent decades studying lineup problems and showing how easy it is to contaminate identification. This is where memory stops being a quirky party fact and becomes terrifyingly expensive. One confident recollection can outweigh actual uncertainty, and everybody in the room can mistake conviction for truth. And then there's the internet carnival version of false memory, the Mandela effect. Huge groups of people remember the same wrong thing and then stare at each other like reality owes them an apology. Berenstain Bears becomes Berenstein. Vader supposedly says, "Luke, I am your father." He does not. Your brain just added the helpful label because apparently it likes searchable dialogue. These examples are funny, but they reveal something important. False memory is not always deeply personal trauma stuff. Sometimes it's just the brain using gist, cultural repetition, and pattern matching to fill in blanks. If enough people share the same shortcut, the mistake feels collective and spooky. But spooky is not magical, it's cognitive. Your mind loves coherence. If reality hands it a messy sentence, it reaches for autocomplete like a raccoon reaching for shiny trash. So how do these memory glitches spread so well? 3 ingredients. First, suggestion. If someone plants a detail, even casually, your brain may test drive it. Second, imagination. The more vividly you picture something, the more familiar it can feel later. Third, source confusion. You remember the detail but forget where it came from. Did you see it, hear it, dream it during a fever nap? Classic work by Marcia Johnson on source monitoring helps explain this chaos. Familiarity is sneaky. It can feel like proof when it's really just repetition wearing a fake mustache. This is why repeated headlines, TikTok retellings, and family lore become dangerous little sculptors. Not because your brain is broken, because it is trying to build a coherent world fast. And coherence sometimes beats accuracy in a sprint, then steals its lunch money. Okay, but what does this mean for normal life, beyond courtroom nightmares and famous experiments? A lot. It means arguments with siblings are not always one liar and one saint. Sometimes both brains are doing improv with old footage. It means breakup stories evolve. Childhood stories get polished. Workplace conflicts become documentaries directed by ego. It also means your identity is partly stitched from memories that were edited while you were busy being alive. That sounds unsettling because it is unsettling, but it's also strangely human. You are not a vault, you are a storyteller. The danger is when the story hardens into certainty and stops accepting correction. The useful move is humility. Less I know exactly what happened. More this is how I remember it, and memory is a chaotic little goblin with a pen. No, the solution is not to panic and assume every memory is fake like your brain is running a low-budget conspiracy channel. Most memory works well enough. The trick is using it wisely. Write things down early, before stories get contaminated. Be careful with leading questions, especially with children or emotional events. Treat confidence as data about feeling, not proof of accuracy. Look for external records, messages, photos, timestamps, other accounts. And when a memory matters a lot, hold it gently. Researchers and organizations like the American Psychological Association have warned for years that memory can be distorted by suggestion, especially in high-stakes settings. Skepticism here is not cynicism, it's maintenance. Like checking the brakes because cars are useful, not because you think every road is cursed. Your memory is powerful. It just needs supervision. So we end where we began, with the uncomfortable little monster under the bed. The scariest part about memory is not that you forget. It's that you can remember vividly and sincerely something that never happened. Not because you're foolish. Not because your brain is bad at its job. Because its job was never to be a perfect recorder. It was built to be useful, fast, emotional, social, and sometimes hilariously overconfident. Elizabeth Loftus, Daniel Schacter, Ulrich Neisser, Gary Wells, Marcia Johnson, all spent years showing the same rude truth from different angles. Memory is not a camera, it's a story rebuilt in real time. Which means the next time you say, I remember exactly, maybe add a tiny asterisk. Your brain may be telling the truth, or just telling it very, very well.